Swami Jyotir, his image is right up here. He's lower left. He's still in the body in Miami.
He's a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah. Although we haven't had live broadcasts from him for a little while. So you've seen? You've met him. Very good. He takes we've shared this when Erica and her mother Michelle and Jodi Saraswati and I were in India on pilgrimage several years ago now. So that's when B was still here. Swami Premananda wowed us because she had asked him a very simple question, which was about what to do in support of her child. And he answered, and this what Swami Jyotir shares throughout this really is focused on the development of the children, understanding how the psyche develops, understanding how the mental faculty develops, how the reactive mind asserts, when the intellect starts to develop, how the intellect develops, like this. It's quite amazing. So we'll read this morning. This section is titled, "A Child is a Reflection of the Self." He says, "Why is a child so lovable to the parents? How can a tiny creature weighing a few pounds capture their hearts, entrance their minds, and involve all of their energy? Why is it that the moment you see a little cub of a tiger or a lion or any baby from any species, the human mind develops such a sense of tenderness? What is the psychology behind it?" He says, the answer in brief is that every human being wants to capture in his consciousness absolute tenderness, absolute beauty and harmony. That, of course, is God, the divine self. But since the urge for realizing the self is very abstract, the complex mind is unable to understand that urge, and nature must present various experiences in human life to promote its development. So, when parents love their child, in that love, they are trying to capture love of God. Your child reflects God in its simplicity and innocence. When you understand how a child reflects your aspiration for becoming peaceful, symbolizing the goal you want to reach in life, you can develop an attitude of adoring the divine self in the child. This attitude, however, should not interfere with your practical dealings with the child. You must be able to separate your parental love from the objective needs of a child's growth. You should not make the child a toy in your hands, nor become attached to and dependent on the child for your happiness. If you do so, you will stunt her development and not let her grow up as she should. Rather, understand that a child exists as an independent personality and one day will walk out of your life just as a bird that has wings will fly out of its nest. And then he speaks to this unique sensitivity of the child's mind. He says, a child, according to yoga, has her kleshas, her afflictions, in a dormant state. That's part of how they're so lovable. They haven't manifested yet, but they're there, and just dormant. In practical dealings with children, parents must understand the sensitivity of the child's mind and realize how deeply every experience penetrates that mind. You've noticed this. You remember clearly many things from your childhood days, While things have happened a few years or only a few days before now, are forgotten. The mind of a child is extraordinarily sensitive, and its sensitivity is mystic. Sometimes the child is reflecting upon even the things that you feel and think. You may be able to conceal many things from other grown-up human beings. You can come from your office tense, tired, and filled with explosions within your mind. You can conceal all that when dealing with adults. But when you're sitting before tiny sages or little children, and they perceive your inner state, though you have not uttered a word, there's a radiation from you that children are more sensitive to, and they imbibe it. So, it is important that adults consider carefully the sensitivity of the mind of a child. And considering that for the ashram, this is our dharma path, supporting householders, specifically supporting mothers with children, in the path of yoga and the path of awakening, and that it's such a beautiful path, by the way, and it's such a great opportunity for us to be able to engage in it and support, because it is about seeing the divine self. And with the householder, the opportunity is to see the divine self in the child, and then relate that back to their own self. So, but what's being shared about the development of the mind and the sensitivity of the mind is something that we all need to have understanding of. Right? Sometimes the child is reflecting upon even the things that you feel and think. So it is important that adults consider the sensitivity of the mind of a child. And then he gives some guidance, and this is a beautiful section. I think we can, well, we'll see. Let's see where it goes. See the world through your child's eyes. Parents must also understand how the values of children are different from the values of adults. There's a place of insight with... Something to share?
No, it's true. It's true though. It's so true. So true.
There's a place of insight within you through which you can know how children feel. But most people have become rigid and do not remember childhood days. Those who are more integrated, however, do not grow rigid, and they maintain an awareness of the child's reality. So it becomes important for parents to develop sensitivity and insight into the children's psychology, not through academic learning, but on the basis of spontaneous love and affection. You must become able to commune with your children and understand them. You must try to see how the children think and how they are looking at things, so that even though actions done by children are very fantastic, you will not upset them severely. You should not impose your realities in a very harsh manner in the tender environments of the children. So, for all of us, non-householders, or whatever role we play, what he's talking about is the adult thing. So when we very quickly forget what it's like to have the child mind, and the child mind has a sense of wonder about it, and this great sensitivity and great delicacy. We tend to become rigid and hardened as we become adults. You know, we get stuck, our knots take over, and we live with a different purpose, which is more to avoid pain. So we close ourselves off. But having the children here gives an opportunity to actually observe them. We were talking this morning, when we live habitually, When we live habitually, when we're trying to memorize everything and live habitually, then we miss life. Right? I want to do this properly now. How do I do this again? Instead of actually observing and being in relationship with what's here. Having the children here gives us an opportunity to relate and to see how they're looking at life, which is for the adult a capturing of something that's very important on the spiritual path. Mm-hmm. For example, a child in the height of great sensitivity finds something that she considers to be on the top of the world, and she wants to show that to her mother. And here, he will want to show it to everyone. So she brings a handful of mud and puts it right near her face, and all that she receives for the great act is one big slap. Consider another illustration. Suppose you are a writer, and as you are doing your work, your child sits and adores you for what you are writing. Then when it is time to go to the office, you leave. The child, in order to help you, sits down, takes all the ink and the pen, and goes on turning all the pages, writing everywhere, so that when you come back, you will be so happy to see your work accomplished. You come back and the child is greeted by a volcanic eruption. So it is important to see things from the child's point of view and not to hurt her because of her errors. Parents must understand the tender atmosphere in which children exist and must be able to appreciate their intentions in a sensitive manner. One more subject. The spirit of discipline. He says, practical insight into how to train children must be gradually developed by the parents through experience. There cannot be set laws. Those people who read set laws from research books become like tiny computers, constantly looking into the books to find out exactly how they're going to react to a problem. Rather, there must be an inner feeling about the child brought about through vital communication. You may err many times and repent often for what you have done to a child. That too is part of evolution. Is that true? But it has the potential to get you in touch with the intuitive self. That's the great gift. Because allowing yourself to be in relationship allows you to learn, to adapt. And the parent has the urge, the mother in particular, always to do what's right and proper and beneficial for the development of the child. Right? So it's driving you constantly to observe and then to come back and check in. So rather, there must be an inner feeling about the child brought about through vital communication. Parents must build up an atmosphere of warmth and love, and within that atmosphere, firmness. Allow the children to taste the joy of your satisfaction when they've done well in meeting your healthy expectations. However, when they have not done something well, they must also taste the bitterness of having made you dissatisfied. They long to please you and learn to enjoy promoting your satisfaction. That sensitive way in which children must be handled is the subject of a profound understanding, and the art of being firm in a healthy manner requires a special intelligence. You should not allow the child to have his way all the time. You must train and discipline the child, and your love for the child should not come in the way of that training. If a child gets into some wrong habits, you must discipline her firmly, strongly. Even threats and little slaps will do no harm. A story is given about a person who, as a boy, was not reprimanded by his mother when he started picking the pockets of others. Rather, the mother went on encouraging him, and gradually he became a great criminal. Ultimately, he was sentenced for long-term imprisonment, and at that time he asked to see his mother. When the mother came, he put his mouth near her ear and bit it. The mother said, "Why did you do that?" He answered, "Why didn't you stop me when I first began this pilfering habit, this stealing? Why did you not stop me?" So all the love the mother has shown, according to her own confused understanding, had turned into bitterness in her son's mind. Therefore, even though at the time of punishment it may seem to the child that you are not up to the mark of love, you must follow the ideal and the right process according to your capacity. And the children will appreciate your actions in course of time. Parents who fear that their children will leave them as they grow if they are firmly treated have not developed deeper love for their children. If you are in a healthy relationship with your children, you will impress upon them the sincerity of your intentions to such an extent that even though you might have punished them and been very harsh at times, they will love you immensely. How do you want that sound?
Yeah.
So we pray that this is of benefit in some way.
And for all of us, Swamiji.
For all of us, yes, it's true. It's true. Our lives in ashram look so much like householder lives. A very big family. There's a concept that the householder, and we see this all the time. This is part of the motivation in terms of welcoming children, mothers, and providing the support as we can, however we can. We see all the time the notion that in the householder life, it's not possible to have also spiritual life. That notion, we see that all the time, and it's funny. We come here and we live what's called a monastic life, but in fact, we can't escape the householder duties. We can't escape the psychology. We can't escape the need to be in relationship with each other. So it's far closer than one would imagine. So yes, it's helpful for all of us, necessary for all of us. There's also an aspect of getting in touch with our childhood that's required. It turns out that the yogi has to reconcile everything. To be successful in life means to come to a place of peace. It doesn't have anything to do with money. It doesn't have anything to do with power, right? All the things that we thought would make us successful, turns out we learn one by one, this doesn't do it, this doesn't do it, this doesn't do it. We keep checking the boxes. Mm-hmm. But all along, what we're craving is peace, love, satisfaction. And these are really the same. There's so much that happens in the development of the child, and every one of us we carry this. All of these knots that we deal with are from prior birth and this birth. So much of it is childhood experience and we've even forgotten the experience. We forgot what happened. But, somebody took a toy away from us when we were 5, and here we are at the age of 40 or 50 or 30, whatever it is, with great anger boiling out of us, and we're not able to see that it was related to that. And so it's very helpful for us understanding the child development. And as yogis, as practitioners, we can't leave anything bottled up. We can't leave anything unexplored. We have to go into the into the depths. This is this introspection. And the reason that we introspect is to see who we are, but also to see who we're not. Right? Any comments or questions? Any observations?
Yeah, just that the child, really, they're in wonder, that place of wonder. And that is somewhere where, like, we, to be in that place with them, to go there with them in that wonder and really see through their eyes. That is so important. Can forget and get caught up in our own.
We do. We get caught up in our habits. And generally speaking, the habits are self-protection mechanisms. So, yeah. Anjaneya?
Yes, there's a very nice story that's illustrated by Hanuman when he's born.
Please.
And he leaps up as soon as he's born and he devours the sun because he thinks it's a fruit. And Indra, typical adult, he uses his thunderbolt and he hits Hanuman and he comes back down to earth. Broken chin. But anyways, it really illustrates what we were talking about, the misunderstanding of a child and the child's wonder. And Tejamayananda actually talks about this in his other book on the Hanuman Chalisa, if anyone's interested in reading more about it. But I just thought I'd point that out because it's mentioned in scripture that we should hold that dear, child wonder.
Jesus says in the Bible, he says, anyone wanting to know the truth, anyone wanting to know God, would be well off to meet, to know a young child before two. So we see so much in terms of confirmations of the teachings and that sense of wonder. That sense of wonder, is recapitulated in the saints. So Buddha had it, Thich Nhat Hanh has it, Swami Jyotirmayananda has it. All of these have that. Not the sense of wonder so much in the things that happen, but what's underlying them. Kartikeya.
But it seems like the lesson learned from the Hanuman story is don't give birth to a monkey. They're wild animals. They might eat your kid.
Kartikeya. Okay, and on that note, we'll close with final prayer in Arati, page 174. 174 in this book, Gauri. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Orvai Rukameva Bandhanan Rachor Mokshiyamamritat Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Orvai Rukameva Bandhanan Rachor Mokshiyamamritat Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Orvai Rukameva Bandhanan Rachor Mokshiyamamritat Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Shantu Niramayam, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyanto, Ma Kashit Dukhabhag Bhave, Asuto Ma Satgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityor Ma Mritangamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O adorable Lord of mercy and love, salutations and prostrations unto thee. Thou art omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. Thou art Satchidananda. Thou art existence, knowledge, and bliss absolute. Thou art the indweller of all beings. Grant us an understanding heart, equal vision, balanced mind, faith, devotion, and wisdom. Grant us inner spiritual strength to resist temptation and to control the mind. Free us from egoism, lust, anger, greed, hatred, and jealousy. Fill our hearts with divine virtues. Let us behold thee in all these names and forms. Let us serve thee in all these names and forms. Let us ever remember thee. Let us ever sing thy glories. Let thy name be ever on our lips. Let us abide in thee forever and ever. Ambalo Sakar Shivananda Maharaj ki. And for all of the saints and sages of all traditions.
Jai.
Stand for arati.